We'll take you straight to the northern region, where we are being told that the court has ordered a rerun of the parliamentary election in the Kpandai constituency. Now, this seat is currently being held by the MPP Member of Parliament, Martin Yindam, who also happens to serve on the Information and Communication Committee of Parliament. My correspondent, Shawana Yusuf, has been following the issues clearly, and she'll be joining us very shortly on all the fallout and insights on this particular case. But we've been also joined by a member of the NDC Legal and Communications team, Ni Kpapo Samoa Ado, who is legal representative for the person challenging the legitimacy of this seat, and that happens to be the MPP NDC Member of Parliament in the 2024 election. Now, we are being told that if you follow this case, you know that he challenged the legitimacy of the seat in December 29, 2024, and now the court has ruled on it. Counsel, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning to your listener.
Yes, news coming in, and I'm sure you, being counsel for the plaintiff, you are satisfied with the ruling of the court. Can you give us a brief backstory to this case?
Okay, so I was in court. The judgment will be ready on Friday, but then the orders were made today. And we want to thank the court. I want to thank the legal team that I led, myself, Musa Mohammed, Eugene Aweti, George Kojo Adabaja. Yes, this was the legal team that I was honored to lead in this particular election petition. Now, the election petition was anchored basically on the premise of these facts. Now, after the election in the Kpandai constituency at the police stations, there was a collation exercise that was to take place at the collation center. Now, every constituency has designated a collation center for the purposes of the parliamentary elections and even the presidential elections. Now, with respect to the parliamentary elections, on the onset of the collation exercise, there were disturbances. Now, you see, the collation center serves a couple of purposes, some of which include the ability of a candidate to challenge the results of any polling station and to even ask for a recount, including the verification of the biometric system, among others. So, when any issue happens at the collation center, at the police station, within the rules of the CI, it is made clear that when there's a disturbance at the police station, you can ask the proceedings can be adjourned to the next day or even adjourned by a week. And logic says that this will definitely apply in the situation where the same happens at the collation center because the rules are similar. Now, you had a rogue district election officer who decided that he was going to be biased and was effectively going to relocate and redesignate the collation center without notice to the NDC candidate. So the NDC candidate did not even know and was never made aware that there had been a relocation of the collation center to another place and therefore could not participate. The law is that the collation exercise must be done in the presence of the candidate unless they voluntarily decide not to be present. Now, if you didn't give the person notice, when you go ahead and take actions that affect his rights, you clearly breach his right to be heard. And so the petitioner mounted his petition that everything that had happened at the new collation center was an invalid exercise. And on the strength of even the fact that a lot of the biometric machines were destroyed, among others. But we are waiting for the full reasoning of the court. But that is the argument that we took to the court. And the court upheld the argument that clearly on the strength of the evidence that we had produced before the court. And what was even more outrageous was you had a district election officer who specifically made allegations against the petitioner, that the petitioner was the one who brought elements to come and cause the mayhem and all that, and that he had him on video. When he was put under cross-examination, he couldn't even produce a cylinder of evidence to show that this was the petitioner engaged in any such act. So one of the things that we have asked the NDC to do is to petition against that district election officer. He has no business being. He is the cause of all these problems. And obviously, the FPP candidate was simply a beneficiary of whatever had happened. So he could not legitimately claimed that he had been elected.
Nick Papo, was the Electoral Commission represented in court, and what were their arguments?
They were in court. They took part in the entire case.
And
it was just funny that today they were not in court.
What were their arguments as the case was ongoing?
Were that they had done a legitimate exercise and that there was no problem.
Interesting.
That was the argument before the court.
So we are also being told that the concerns you raised was that there was a breach of the Public Elections Regulation 2020 CI 127.
Yes, there were breaches of those provisions, and we combined that with the argument that our fundamental right to be heard in respect of being told about what was going to happen at the redesignation of the polling stage of the collation center was denied, and so everything that happened there was a nullity. That breach of the fundamental human rights of a party renders all proceedings and everything founded on that as a nullity.
Interesting. The pushback, Council, again, the pushback from your opponents really was that a lot of the issues we were raising amounted to administrative errors and did not necessarily affect the actual votes, the vote count for each. Council, let me ask the question. Let me ask the question and you answer. So again, the point is that these are mainly administrative issues and do not necessarily reflect in the vote count. Does it come to you as a surprise?
I'm telling you that is an absurd argument. You cannot build on an illegality and expect to have a legal result. That's what happens. You breach the laws that govern the procedure that govern the collation of the election results, and yet you want to legitimize the outcome and say that based on the outcome you declare in breach of the fundamental laws, we should accept those results. How can you build or lay a foundation of illegality and expect that you are going to reap something illegal? It's not possible. And that's why the court upheld our petition.
When this case became public, right, in December 2024, we were being told in your original suit by your client, Mr. Wakbao, that so you had issues with Form 8A, right, and 41 out of a total of 152 polling stations had issues. So in excess of about 100 plus polling stations were okay. When you do the maths, do you get the sense that the result could have gone other way if these polling stations didn't have issues?
You see, you have a problem. There's a problem with the logic in respect of that. We presented what we were going to raise as issues with the election results and irregularities that we intended to raise at the collation center. Now, if we had had the opportunity to do a thorough, an audit of the entire process, clearly there could have been more. But to deny us the opportunity to even make our case at the collation center and to go ahead and declare results in breach of our fundamental human right to be heard and in breach of the CI itself, renders your entire exercise a nullity. And that is what the court has about.
So are we expecting a rerun in these 41 constituencies or in the entirety of the constituency? In the 41 polling stations?
The order of the court is that there will be a rerun in the entire constituency.
Wow. So this is even more than what you were asking for in your original suit, because I'm looking at it here and you were calling for a rerun in these 41 affected polling stations. So
we asked for a rerun in the entire election. Look at our release properly. We asked for a rerun in the entire constituency. It was one of the relief that we asked for. That in the wisdom of the court, if the court found out that fundamentally the exercise that was undertaken was a nullity, you cannot ground anything on it. You have to order a rerun of the entire thing.
When are you expecting official communication from the Electoral Commission?
Well, the Electoral Commission has to be served with the orders of the court. And that is what we are doing right now. We are the registry of the court getting copies of the order. Once we serve them with the orders of the court, they have 30 days to comply.
Interesting. Then from there, a date to be set for fresh elections, I believe. Interesting.
Sovereignty lies to the people. And so if the people retain the same MP, so be it. It will not be the first time.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Lawyer Ni Kpakpo Samoa Ado, who's a member of the NDC legal team and also counsel or lead lawyer for Mr. Daniel Wakpao, who was the 2024 NDC parliamentary candidate for the Kpandai constituency. The big news story coming in is that the court has ordered for a rerun in that particular constituency, and I'm referring to the parliamentary election, over issues raised with pink sheet anomalies and other irregularities. We are being told that the election served with the decision of the court, after which engagement will begin on finding a date for the rerun. So clearly there's an expected election, coming up pretty shortly in the Kpandai constituency. The Channel One TV City FM Northern Region correspondent, Shawana Yusuf, is also joining us for some updates as this matter unfolds. Good morning, Shawana, and welcome to Breakfast Daily. All right, so we are being told that Shawana will join us pretty shortly. But let me just read to you the story as captured by citynewsroom.com. The big headline story reads, Court orders rerun of Kpandai parliamentary election. Brief excerpts. The Tamale High Court has ordered a rerun of the Kpandai parliamentary election, directing that a fresh poll be held within 30 days from today. The decision, delivered by His Lordship Emmanuel Brew Planche, follows a legal challenge to the results of the 2024 parliamentary election in the constituency. The petition alleged irregularities in the voting and coalition processes that undermined the credibility of the outcome. The former Member of Parliament and the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Kpandai, Daniel Wakpao, filed a suit challenging the election of Matthew Nyindam as MP, and the story goes on and on. Shawana, good morning again and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning. It's good to be here on Breakfast Daily.
It's always a pleasure having you this morning. Are you still at the courts, and what can you report for us on this developing story?
Great, thank you. I'm still here at the High Court in Tamale, and interesting development this morning. You have the issue of a rerun that has been passed by the lawyer sitting on the case, the judge on the case. And what he says is that the rerun is not just going to be on the 41 polling stations that were actually used to petition the court to look at the issue, but it is going to be run across the whole of Kpandai district. And what it means is that all 152 polling stations in Kpandai is going to have a rerun held in these polling stations.
Interesting.
Throughout.
I'm sure we don't have the numbers readily available, but if you look at these 41 contested polling stations, do you get a sense that the numbers there could tilt the election in a different direction based on your knowledge of the constituency and your coverage of it in previous election cycles?
Okay, so let me put on record, Kpandai actually falls under Mohammed Aminu Alabira. But what I am picking is that the current Member of Parliament for the area, Martin Nyindam, tells us that with even the 41 disputed areas, he actually won or led the whole elections with a huge margin. And he feels if it was contested and the court had to rule that the whole 152 stations should rather be rerun, he feels there is something we are not seeing in his own way. He says he feels there are powers that be that we are not seeing. But what the MPP is saying is that they are moving to the appeals court to have a second look at the issue again.
Interesting.
And though they don't dispute the ruling, they respect it, but then they are moving to the appeals court.
Was the defendant was in court today? I'm referring to Martin Nyindam. Did he make a public appearance in court?
He did. He was in court this morning. He spoke to us just before your call came through. We were talking to him, and he said he is very confident that if they don't use any powers to oppress the people of Kpandai during this upcoming re-election, he is very certain that victory is going to be his again, and he is not scared of any competition. but he would not agree if they want to usurp powers on the people in the upcoming election, or better still use some inducements to be able to secure victory.
Interesting. So if I get you correctly, he's alleging, interference in the judicial process.
Well, that is from what I also picked from what he says. He's alleging there is an interference somewhere, and he feels there are some powers somewhere because, according to him, all the hierarchy of the NPP in the region who were present in court, of the NDC in the region, and even at the national level, were present in court, pulls or draws that kind of conclusion. And for him, he feels he wants to go to the next step and appeal the case and see what happens next. But he's not scared to go in for a rerun in the next 30 days.
Hold on, Shawana. So I'm currently looking at the 2024 election results, parliamentary for the Kpandai constituency. And Matthew Nyendam polled 27,947,000 votes, representing 53.47%. And his closest contender, Daniel Insala Wakpao, from the NDC camp, also polled 24,213, representing 46.33%. The APC's candidate, Donko Eric Nipani, polled 104 votes, representing 0.20% of the votes. So it's in excess of a difference of about a little over 3,000 votes, right? Do you get a sense that this could make it prime for a very fierce competition should the appeal from the NPP not fall through? Do you get my question?
Yes, I think we are just trying to find out if he will still be able to maintain the seat if their appeal doesn't go through. For me, and from where I stand, and from what we've seen in past months with rerun of elections in other constituencies, I seriously don't know what to think. I feel, I don't know.
You can't really tell
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a bit dicey. At one moment, you feel this person is going to take it, and the next moment, you see the next person take it, and you go like, how is it done?
Interesting.
Election, they say, is not won at the polls, and only God knows where it is being won at. So, I mean, we wait to see what happens in the next 30 days.
Interesting.
Should the appeal not be accepted? But they are very certain, and they are hoping, per their lawyers' word, that their appeal will go through, and that if the lower court did not, the high court in Tamale did not grant them what they want, they are moving to the next level, which is the appeals court, and they are very hopeful and certain, because for them, what actually baffles their mind is the fact that why it was just 41 centers that was being disputed, and now the court has cleared the whole of 152.
His lawyer. I posed the same question to his lawyer for the plaintiff, right? Nikpapo Samoa Ado, having read the suit, he disputes that fact and said that the original suit was to challenge the entirety of the results, even though it's been reported while in the media that it was initially to challenge 41 seats out of the 152 seats. But can you share with us, did you see the plaintiff in court today? Did he speak to the media in the aftermath of the court's order?
Oh, he didn't say anything after that. It was just the lawyer for the plaintiff that spoke to us, and also Computer who spoke to us. But I mean, he was excited, and the youth who came with them, it was all jubilation and celebration here at the court premises, even though there were other court cases that was being heard in the commercial courts where the case was actually ruled on. But it was interesting. You could see smiles on his face, and he's hopeful. He looked hopeful that in the coming days he was going to take it, and then success was going to be there. So for both of them, they are hoping the next 30 days will favor them, and it's going to be fierce from what I see. And yes, we hope for a peaceful one for that matter.
Finally, before I let go of you, you mentioned on the show that you saw also in court the Deputy Director of Elections for the ruling National Democratic Congress, Computer Tanko. Across the political divide, did you see other leading members of both parties present in court today following proceedings?
From the side of the NPP, it was well. I saw the deputy general secretary of the NPP,
Haruna Mohammed.
in Tamale, exactly. He was here, and he's been in the region for some time. For some time now, and he's even still around here with us. Besides him, the others were just regional executives who had come to sit in on the case or to listen to the judgment that was being passed in court. He was also the only representative from the national level.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your time, Shawana Yusuf, who is our Middle Belt Bureau Chief, and covering this issue for us. The big story we are bringing to you live, it's that in the Kpandai constituency, a court presided over by Justice Bro Planche has ruled that the entire constituency be rerun because of some anomalies raised with regards to pink sheets. Initially, it was reported that 41 of these polling stations in the constituencies had issues, but now we are being told by the order of the court that the whole constituency is set to be rerun. By way of information, I also want to bring to you an idea of the numbers in the area to give you a sense of what is really at stake. If you look at the 2024 results, like I mentioned to you earlier, the registered voters in the area is around 66,850, out of which 53,236 cast their votes. So, of course, rejected ballots were 1,149. So clearly a politically active area if you look at the numbers in terms of the turnout of votes. But we've also been joined by the NPP Deputy General Secretary, Haruna Mohammed, who was also in court today and following the issues keenly. Good morning, Haruna, and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, Jude.
Interesting. I just spoke to our Middle Belt Bureau Chief, Shawana, who's created Northern Regional Bureau Chief, Shawana Yusuf, who's created a picture with regards to the state of affairs in the area right now. And we are being told for your camp, it's not really that of joy. It's all gloom because you are not particularly excited with the court's order today. Is that the correct picture?
Thank you very much. As I speak to you, I'm just looking at Shawana. She's in front of me. We came to court today morning on a matter for hearing of the Kpandai case with respect to the election petition that was brought before the High Court Division, that is the commercial court in Tamale. Before the proceedings of the court could begin, eventually our lawyer and the other lawyers from the NDC were sitting, and then immediately when the computer was opened, the judgment was already being typed on the, and when it was sent, I said, hey, judgment already that we have not, so meaning that a judgment was already being done on a matter that yet to be argued in court. And eventually what we heard over the week from the NDC people and from what we saw in court, we saw that all the bigwigs of the NDC in the region, including the regional minister, who is the regional chairman, all of them were being seated, very excited, jubilating outside already before the judgment had come out. So eventually the judge had ruled that the elections for Kpandai, the rerun, and that is the entire election. And the ball of contention here is that 41 polling stations out of 152 polling stations went to court. Those 41 polling stations were the polling stations that NDC had issues with. And these were the matters that were being adjudicated on in the High Court.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, all the pink sheets have been signed by all agents of the political party. And they did not have problem with the remaining number of polling stations aside the 41 polling stations that they had issues with. So if for any other reasonable thing to be done, then the issues at stake for discussion or for adjudication was the matter that was going to be decided, even if it was for a rerun of an election. But the judge says that they should go and rerun the elections for the entire polling, for the entire constituency.
As a party, so, are you going to appeal this decision in court?
I think that I've already sent the appeal, the notice of we have filed the notice of appeal, and we have also filed the stay of execution as exactly at 10. That was around 10:04 a.m. this morning. We have filed all these things. Immediately that we saw that this judgment was something that has already been announced outside by the NDC in their jubilant mood.
Interesting.
Our lawyer went to the court with the appeal in his pocket.
Interesting.
And immediately this was done. In our address to the media, we have given copies to the media persons that have been here. We have duly filed the notice of appeal and stay of execution on the matter. And now, once this has been filed, Matthew Nyimdal remains the Member of Parliament for the good people of Kpandai until December 17th, where we'll be hearing the case of the notice of stay of execution. And you know, in a high court, the judge cannot hear his own matter of an appeal. It has to go to the appellate court, and that is the structure of the court system in Ghana. And we are going to follow this case to its latter. We don't fear anything called even rerun in Kpandai. They know very well that even if they are going to do a rerun in the 41 police stations, that is being contended, they will lose. And that is why they are using state power, they are using machinations, and they want to go in there. And that is why the court has been giving judgment. It is not in your favor to say you have won. Why are you jubilating? So in this manner of politics that we have today, and the court, kangaroos or animal farm, because we have heard in court, high courts, where we say that we are an animal farm, not everybody is equal before the court. And this is very unfortunate. And today, this is another judgment that we are seeing. For the first time in the history of Ghana, a contended election of 41 is being run for the entire polling station. In Ablekumanov, you saw what happened. Just 3 polling stations that were left. They had to go and do a rerun of more than what the 19 polling stations instead of 3. Today, 41 that is being contended, we have to go and do a rerun for all. But I am telling you that we are going to follow the case to the appeal court, and law will work.
So
the judge,
until
the
law
is
stay
in the bosom of the court, the judge, but it doesn't mean that he can use it arbitrarily.
Interesting. So until the stay of execution is heard, your candidate still remains Member of Parliament.
That's exactly what the law is.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, who are going to appeal this decision by the court to order a rerun in the Kpandai constituency. Initially 41 seats, but the judgment of the court is that the whole constituency, go back again to the poll to select their parliamentary candidate.